Welcome to another episode of Between the Branches in your neighborhood, where we highlight veteran-owned businesses that are local here to Albuquerque and Rio Rancho, New Mexico. This channel is brought to you by Carnell Homes Incorporated, and we're in partnership with Cocoa Realty. So I'm your host, Joshua Carnell, and I'm joined today here with Dr. Phil Macklin, who's a retired colonel and Army veteran and owner of Macklin Enterprising. How you doing today?
Doing great, Josh.
That's
Good
awesome.
to see you.
That's
Good to
awesome.
be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So, as we've discussed before the show and stuff, we're just here to talk to veterans and promote them, not only them, but also to promote their businesses, right? So we'll start the show and we'll go back in time a bit, and we'll start with your military career and how you got there and why you did it, and we'll just go from there.
Great, Josh.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Absolutely. So let's start with the big question. Why did you join the military?
So I'm originally from Hampton, Virginia. My dad was a Navy veteran, and nobody else of my six brothers and sisters thought about the military, even though Langley Field Air Force Base is right there.
Right.
The Norfolk Naval Base is not far across the bridge. And the biggest thing for me was I was kind of recruited by West Point and the Naval Academy.
Okay.
And Duke and various other schools, because I was
So
an
out of high
athlete
school.
out of high school, right?
Yeah.
I was an athlete who actually studied a lot.
All right.
Kind of interesting. So I had good grades, and so I was recruited by several schools, and William and Mary, Duke, and come to my mind, Penn State. And when I went on a trip to West Point, the coach of the football team, which I played football in high school, came down to visit. He was really a nice guy, and he said, "I'd like to take you up to West Point so you could see the opportunity there." And I knew kind of about West Point, but not in detail. And honestly, because I come from a humble financial background, my mom and I lived in Hampton, Virginia. My mom was divorced from my dad. When I went to West Point and I saw, first of all, the phenomenal opportunity there. The place is beautiful.
Right.
And they had an Olympic pool and the Olympic diving board. I had never dived off one, but I was an avid diver and swimmer for the summers. When I got a chance to dive off of that height, and then just looking at the totality of what West Point provided for me. First, a phenomenal education. Second, discipline. And third, the ability to play football for a school that was going to play Pitt and Notre Dame and schools like that.
So one of the big league schools.
Really, really a great program at the time. And we played University of Tennessee. We played against some pretty good schools. The opportunity to do that and then get a guaranteed job for 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Because I owed the Army 5 years of service upon completing West Point.
Okay.
And then here's the kicker: they were going to pay me to go to school.
That's the best way to do it.
And I would have a uniform, several uniforms. I would have various, the things you need as a young man. And then I'd have the reputation of having gone to West Point.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Graduation. So it was very easy for me at 17 years old to go, well, let me look at Duke. Okay, they're going to put me on scholarship, but I have to take care of other things.
Right.
And West Point's going to have me on scholarship. They're going to get the appointment for me. I didn't have to, because they were recruiting me. I didn't have to go and talk to a senator or anything. So they got somebody from Nebraska to nominate me for.
All right.
It just was a slam dunk for a decision for me. And this is important. I was gonna have a guaranteed job
Right. Yeah, and then so coming out of West Point, you come in to the military, not enlisted, but you come in as a
second lieutenant.
as a second lieutenant, as an officer.
Sure.
All right.
So, and you get to see the world and those kinds of things. That appealed to me as well because I hadn't traveled much at 17. So it was a whole package, and the beauty is when I got there, the capacity to serve the country became more important than anything to me. The fact that I was going to be able to serve this fine country that we have.
That's awesome. My time in the military, man, I did so much traveling. It was so fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, getting out of the military, it's kind of hard to sit in one place.
Totally get you.
after a little bit, man. So it's time to go somewhere else, do something else.
Josh, you bring up a good point. I lived in 16 different states. Having been, once I got out of West Point.
Right.
And when people ask me where I'm from, I usually say I'm from the Army.
Right. Yes, that's a good answer, man.
So
because when I was in for 12 years, and I was stationed at 6 bases.
Right.
From Kunsan, South Korea.
Sure.
Aviano, Italy, bunch of stateside.
Sure.
Got to see some amazing places.
Sure.
It's amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
So how long were you in the military for? I said you retired, so that's a minimum of 20.
Right. So I was in 20 years. And
all right.
My assignments were varied. I was never stationed overseas, which was interesting in that whole time frame.
Right.
But I traveled overseas a lot, Holland, Switzerland, Germany, and then Egypt, for Bright Star. I served under General Schwarzkopf at Fort Stewart, Georgia for a long time. What happened was I extended for command. I was given a command as a first lieutenant, which is normally a captain, one higher assignment. But I was fortunate enough because I was one of those airborne ranger, pathfinder, go-getter type people.
All right.
And bottom line though is I was able to visit a lot of places for various exercises, but most of my tours were Fort Stewart, Georgia, and then I was invited back to teach at West Point. So I went to Penn State grad school, got a doctorate, which was a phenomenal blessing in itself, and then went to the acquisition corps, the technical business side of the Army.
Okay. All right.
In Huntsville, Alabama. So, I travel a lot in between those times, live different places. And so, yeah.
All right. That's pretty awesome. So you said you got a doctorate while you were still in the military.
Right.
What's your doctorate in?
So my degree's in Inorganic Chemistry, specifically Organometallic Chemistry. That's transition metals. When you look at a periodic table, there's a section for transition metals with organic substrates like carbon-containing compounds. And I was a synthetic chemist in grad school there. We put together various components and products that had utility for pesticides and for medications and things like that. So, so we it was pretty challenging. But it was great because I love science.
Right. Yeah, and reading through your bio, you've done some stuff with the space program as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People don't realize this, but when you go up in space, your bones begin to demineralize because there's no gravity.
Right.
Well, that condition actually similar to osteoporosis because it's the bones de-densifying. And so there's some processes that we do that in order to keep our bones dense in microgravity in space. And those processes are an inorganic type of system. And bottom line is my experiment was manifested to go on a space shuttle, but then they discontinued the space shuttle program. But it was just really an honor for the Army to pick,
that's awesome. That's that's a huge feather in your cap right there, right? Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So of all of your time in the military, how do you think that sets you up for being a civilian again on the outside?
So one of the best things I could say, and that's a great question, Josh, one of the best things I could say is the Army really helps you learn how to lead. the assignments I had. You always get a turn where
Right.
you're the leader. But what you find out very quickly is for you to be a leader in anything,
Right.
you know, because I was in industry and I was teaching at West Point and those kinds of things. You have to know how to follow first.
Right. Absolutely.
You need to learn the skill of following.
Right.
There's a skill there, and then you'll know how to best lead because you've been there where the people that are following you are being.
Right.
And so it's important to have that perspective in anything, whether it's in technology or, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you've been out the military for quite some time now,
Sure.
I'm guessing. So now you're owner of Macklin Enterprise.
Right, absolutely.
So what is Macklin Enterprise about?
So because I've been an athlete all my life, boxed at West Point, most of the coaches didn't like the fact that I boxed my junior year, but because I played football from freshman year through to senior, and played football and did fairly well. I made All East as a Army football player.
Right.
Because of the chemistry background and the science and the fact that I just love the health aspects of life.
Right.
I love helping people basically be the best they can be physiologically and for their families, for themselves. I was able to combine the science with the athleticism, with the performance, with the body. The body is actually a human test tube when you think about it.
Right.
There's a lot of chemical reactions going on in the body. So I found an interest in helping people be healthy and well with natural based type of products. And it's important to know I never sell or distribute anything with what I do, but I talk about what's the best way to minimize to bring down your cholesterol, bring down your blood pressure, to help yourself be at optimal weight, whatever that is for you, as well as gut issues. You know, the gut biome is over 80% responsible for our immune system.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, because there's a saying, you are what you eat.
Right.
And that's also very true.
So here's another connection we're going to make. So being in the military for 20 years, how important is it to move after you get out of the military?
How it's important to move?
Yeah.
I mean, as in exercise?
Exercise just daily. Because the military, man, it puts you through the paces and beats the crap out of you.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting that you should bring that up because I graduated in 1979 from West Point.
Okay.
And as you indicated, when you have a military life, you have to do some type of activity.
Oh, yeah.
It's just required.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, when you stop in the military, oftentimes people go to a profession where they stagnate. They're in a sedentary lifestyle. They're not doing as much activity as we had to do in the military.
Right. And that's even outside of the job that you're given.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So depending on the job that you have, it could be way rougher than, just staying physically fit for the military.
Absolutely. And the point that I'm getting at is I have classmates, I'm sorry to say, that look like they ate the classmates that I went to school with. And I'm saying they gained weight, they've got away from the activity. I do a seminar and I want to talk about it when the time allows, that talks about the 5 things we got to do to live longer, feel better, have more energy.
Right.
And the first one is nutrition. You have to get good nutrition. You just can't get it from food anymore because the soil is depleted. You have to exercise, and that's to your point about, okay, how much do you have to move? You got to move, get your heart rate up at least 30 minutes for 4 or 5 times a week. At least get your heart rate up, because the heart's a muscle, and it's, your body has a lot of muscular structure, so you really need to move around as much as possible to keep that going. And then you need to rest enough. we can't party like we used to.
That's true, man.
We got to
So
get 7 to 8 hours
I
or
know.
so of sleep, right?
Kat and I, it's like almost 7 days a week. Our bedtime's about 8:30,
I got
right?
you.
And if we stay up to like noon, 1 o'clock, we're totally
It's
done
over.
the next day, man.
I understand.
We just don't
Understand.
function. So
Well, you know, the body gets, you know, it gets, some people, the body gets older. Some people, the body gets better.
right,
But the key is you just can't do the things you used to as long as you used to. And then the fourth thing is de-stress. Stress drains you physically. And the stresses of life, whether it's from children, our job, our business, or whatever, or the neighbors next door are stressing us. I mean, we have to de-stress and find some way to get away. And then the fifth thing actually is to get rid of the toxic chemicals out of your environment.
right,
And unfortunately, you know, there are chemicals beyond industrial chemicals. There are chemicals in our cleaning products that are really bad for us.
right,
Most people don't realize the skin is a semi-permeable membrane, and it absorbs
right,
pretty much anything that's in the vapor phase, and it goes into your bloodstream. Well, the Clorox and 409 and ammonia and those kinds of things that might be in people's kitchen cabinets, really toxic to your body, and so that takes away from your health and wellness. One key thing, free radicals, a lot of people hear about them. Free radicals, yeah, they're bad. Well, you can look at free radicals as if they're like little fires in your body that take away from your organ function, can take away from your health.
right,
And what you have to do is have a nutritional program that allows you to have antioxidants. Those are like little fire extinguishers putting out those fires, those little fires that make you age and make you get sick,
right,
and those kind of things. So the bottom line is we are very much into health and wellness with Macklin Enterprises, and love to talk to people about it.
That's awesome. That's fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
My wife and I, we're very health conscious.
Yes.
Like I said, always trying to stay moving, right?
Yes.
So I work out anywhere from 4 to 5 times a week,
Beautiful.
and just stay moving because being in the military myself, I feel like if I stop, I'm gonna stop.
Yes.
And then that's just gonna be the end of that, right? So.
Right.
It's always in the back of my mind. I got to keep pushing, got to keep moving.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's great.
So that's awesome. And then so Macklin Enterprise, it's not just local here to like New Mexico. It's global, right?
Right. Yeah.
You have a global reach.
Yeah, we have a global reach to over 20 countries, including the U.S. And what's so important is we're about educational aspects of health, not selling a specific product or anything like that, and we're not distributors and those kind of things, but it's totally knowledge based. And one thing I wanted to mention, as you were talking, I was thinking Josh will really understand this. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to die from something.
Yeah.
But I say to them, just don't hurry it up.
Right.
Let's have a lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
That allows us to enjoy the fact that we're living.
Absolutely.
And then, by the way, most of us have loved ones. Let's share it with others to help them live longer, feel better, have more energy. So.
Right. Absolutely. And then we were talking about travel earlier, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to sit. So as we get older, it's actually harder to travel.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
if you're not truly taking care of yourself.
Absolutely.
So my wife and I, like our plan is once we get to the spot, we just want to travel. That's
great.
it. So
that's super. That's super.
That's one of our drives to keep going and try to stay healthy here.
No, I like that, especially because the mode of travel is always important. My family and I drive a lot, different locations. We love the beach. And as you know, we have all beach and no water here in New Mexico.
Absolutely.
Pretty much. But when you fly, one of the most important things to remember is you're breathing recirculated air. And unfortunately, sometimes those HEPA filters are not as filtering as they could be. And one of the most germ-filled places on an airplane is not the bathroom.
Right.
It's that nozzle that you adjust.
Oh yeah, for the air.
For the air, because unfortunately the air conditioning or the heat or whatever is appropriate, because they don't clean those much.
Right.
And you don't know where people's hands have been that turn them. By the way, the other one is the seat belt. And the worst one is that tray that's in front of you.
Right.
Because unfortunately, that tray, they don't clean those trays.
Right.
And some people sleep and put their mouths on those trays. Some people change the baby's diaper on the trays.
Right, right.
So why am I saying this? Because unfortunately, there's a lot of transfer of germs and bacteria and various microbes on a plane or on any time you travel. So take something with you that's a sanitizer without chemicals. You want to kill the bad germs and bacteria without killing yourself.
Right.
So
you also educate people, right? So
Absolutely.
In the education, especially those of us that love to travel, I'm sure you have education material and everything on like how to keep your immune system where it needs to be, to where you're fighting this stuff off and you're not getting sick every time you leave the house.
Absolutely, Josh. That's a great point. Iron Man had this suit that covers himself, and he could do all kinds of fantastic things with it. He was one of my favorite Marvel characters.
Right.
The key is in anything in life, if you can boost your immune system, that's your Iron Man suit.
Absolutely.
That allows you to fend off germs, bacteria, bad situations, bad things that could take away from your health. So if you can do anything to boost your immune system, one of them is nutrition at the cellular level.
Right.
Getting good nutrition, the vitamins A through K, the selenium, zinc, chromium, those kinds of minerals that unfortunately, again, they can't come from food anymore because our soil's depleted.
Right.
They did a study, cabbage from 20 years ago has much more nutrients in it than cabbage from today because of soil depletion. Any good doctor, any good medical doctor will say to you, hey, you really need to have good supplementation.
Right.
Okay, so that you can ensure you again live longer, feel better, have more energy. So that those are really good points for people to keep in mind. So
that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Phil, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you,
sure.
I believe you provided your phone number, email address,
sure,
all that good stuff,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So here at the end of the video, what we're going to do is Dr. Macklin's information will be posted at the bottom of the video.
That's great.
So yeah, I want to thank you for coming on here today.
Sure.
You got anything else you want to add, or?
All I would say is, there's a saying, and I got a bunch of sayings. I'm a former Harvard guy, right? When you're green, you grow. When you're ripe, you rot. So always be green, learning, and growing.
Absolutely.
Because we never know everything. And the only other thing I would say also is, if you think about anything that I've said today, just think about the fact that you can not only help yourself by being educated about health and wellness,
right,
but you can help others that you love and care about. Because I got to take care of me so I could take care of my twins and my college student and my family at home.
Right, absolutely. Okay. Well, Dr. Phil, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for being on here.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, make sure you like and subscribe, and all of Dr. Phil's information will be at the bottom under the video. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.